Today, we're going to do something really cool. We're going to be word detectives, diving into a few ancient Chinese characters. We will dig into their strokes and structure to unearth a concept that is deeply embedded in our minds, but often overlooked: ignorance, or 无明. Have you ever considered that the shape of a character, after thousands of years of evolution, might act like a mirror, directly reflecting the bugs in our own minds? Sounds a little mysterious, right? So that's what we're going to explore together today. Our main protagonists are these four ancient characters. They will guide us toward the concept of double. This isn't just about not knowing anything, it's not mere simple ignorance. It's more like a self-deceptive ignorance, one that subtly helps you build the very world you see. Fascinating, isn't it? Let's begin. The flood of arrogance. When you hear this character, I think the first thing that pops into your mind is likely arrogance. However, the story behind this character is actually more like a spreading arrogance. Yes, its most basic meaning, arrogance, the feeling of being absolutely self-satisfied, believing you know and can do everything, and then unconsciously ordering others around. Does that sound familiar? Many of us have people like this in our lives, or perhaps we sometimes act this way ourselves. But the most powerful aspect of this character is not its static definition, it's its dynamic quality. Here's where it gets interesting. In ancient times, the character Ma was often interchangeable with another character, the one with the water radical, which is also pronounced Emma, as in spreading, overflowing, or flooding. This tells us that arrogance Ma is not a fixed point. It's not a static state. It's like water, it flows and expands. Imagine the scene. At first, arrogance might just be a small puddle in your heart, but it slowly permeates, gradually spreads, and eventually drowns out all your judgment. It's like a silent flood. By the time you notice, your entire world is submerged in this water torrent. You can't see any other possibility. If mind is the flood of our mindset, the next character plunges us into an even deeper place. This character is Yuan, which speaks to a more fundamental ignorance that comes from our senses. If you look up Yu in old texts, its most direct meaning is Mumi, which means the eyes without light, blind. But the key point is that it's not just about the physical eye being unable to see. It's about our mind cannot see clearly or understand. And here's the most startling connection. If you break down this character, you'll find that Yu is extremely closely related to the character for resentment, hatred, and this hides a powerful idea. RS. The sense we trust the most are sometimes our enemies. They deceive us. Why? Think about it. RS is and knows these senses have long been pre-programmed by our past habits. For example, a person who loves sweets sees a cake, and their entire being is drawn to it, completely losing control. These accumulated bad habits use our senses like an enemy, pushing us into one harmful cycle after another. Furthermore, the character Yu has another, very concrete image. In ancient times, it was also used to describe a dried-up, abandoned well. I think this metaphor is incredibly apt. What does a dry well look like? There is no water. Nothing can grow. It's completely useless. Our ignorant mind is exactly like this well, dry and empty, unable to produce any wisdom or do anything beneficial. It's just a derelict space. But what's the most terrifying part? We don't just leave this well alone. We actively pollute it. As the texts say, every day we throw all sorts of garbage leaves, everything we shouldn't see or hear, into this well. Eventually, we turn it into a toilet. We actively fill the well of our own mind with garbage. The third character, Lu Yu, speaks less about the cause of ignorance and more about its consequence. I believe this is a feeling we in the modern world are all too familiar with. Lu Yu refers to a kind of bone-deep exhaustion. The ancients had a perfect phrase for it: 爱死神, 久役, meaning your body and your spirit are tormenting and enslaving each other, unable to stop. Isn't this exactly what we now call burnout, that feeling of being completely burned out? The key here is to distinguish between two kinds of fatigue. For example, you might be physically tired after a full day of moving house, but you sit down, have a drink, and you recover quickly. That is physical fatigue. But there's another kind of exhaustion, one caused by the greed, anger, and desire in your heart. That kind of fatigue might not be fixed by an entire weekend in bed. It's a fire that ignites from within and will continue to burn until it consumes your whole being. we come to the final character. I believe this one is the most subtle, yet the most powerful of the four. If the first three are symptoms of W, Zhelang is the engine that keeps the entire system running. The literal meaning of say, H and GS improve for evidence sounds like a good, objective, scientific word. Right, but it is precisely WENG's most common trick. It refers to how we use our own very limited experience to prove that the deep-seated prejudices in our minds are actually true. So, the question is, how does W convince itself? What method does it use to make itself so self-righteous? There's a story about an ancient musical instrument genre that perfectly illustrates this process. Imagine a person who sees a priceless cue, but he's completely unskilled. He plucks the string, it's loose and makes no sound. He immediately jumps to a conclusion. What kind of junk is this? It makes no sound. In his world, a musical instrument must make a sound when touched. This is his truth. Then comes the most crucial step. To prove he is right, he starts acting. He grabs the tuning peg and, without a second thought, violently turns it like a faucet. Snap! The most valuable string on the instrument breaks. He then throws the cue down, dusts his hands off, and self-righteously declares to everyone, "See, I told you, this thing was broken from the start." He personally broke the instrument, and then used that as evidence to prove his initial thought was correct. This is the essence of the Chinese idiom, 以邻偷佛. The man who suspects his neighbor as stealing his eggs. You suspect the neighbor, and then you see his walk, his speech, and everything about him screams thief. We do the same thing. We start with a prejudice, and then we desperately build a skyscraper of evidence to support it. Once it's built, we tell the world, this is the truth. This is a perfect Wuming feedback loop, the key to the prison. So, by following these four characters, we have seen the four faces of W. This journey is not just about dissecting words. It's more like looking in the mirror at our own minds. Let us quickly recap. The arrogance that floods your reason, like a torrent. The blindness like a dry well, filled with the garbage of our own making. The mental burnout caused by the knots and tangles in our inner world. The self-proof where we manufacture evidence, locking ourselves in a prison called I am right. Okay, since we've figured out how this prison is built, the most important question is, where is the key? How do we escape? This prison may seem solid, but its point of breakthrough might be hidden in something we all do every day. Speaking. There is a method called the Four Unimpeded Understandings and Eloquence as all evidence. It sounds professional, but it's quite simple. Before you open your mouth to speak, mentally ask yourself four questions. Will what I say help others? Is it true? Will it reduce not increase the afflictions and troubles of others? Can this word bring peace to people's hearts? When we start adjusting what we say, we are actually adjusting our minds. So, finally, I want to leave you with one question. Let's think again about the person who broke the cue. He used his own actions to prove that the instrument was broken. What about you? Right here. Right now, what kind of proof are you using to construct the world you see? That's all for today. Thank you.